Wake up to the sound of your fleeting heart. Wake up to the sound of your fleeting heart. When you go, what you leave is a word.
For my independent study project, I traveled to Barranquilla, Colombia, and volunteered in a school who works with students with Down syndrome called CEER. And this school is a little bit different than others. They are based with art therapy instead of math, science, writing, and yeah, they still work with those subjects, but it's not the base. And so instead, they're working on developing skills through like finger motor skills and singing and dancing and the arts.
So I'll go, but we know I'll see you down the line. And we'll hate what we've lost, but we'll love what we find. And oh, I'm feeling.
I would show up to the school at 7:30 in the morning, and they would open with a meeting basically explaining what they're going to do for the day and why they're grateful for their life that day. And it was really interesting because a lot of the students, they would say my family, my friends, but most important of all, they would say I'm so grateful for you guys and to be in this school, and it felt so great to be in a loving environment. And after the meeting, they would disperse to their classes, and there were 3 different classrooms. One that would work on like making bracelets, painting, etc. The more of the 3-finger projects. And then another classroom would work on some vocabulary and Spanish words and writing. And another classroom would be mostly just painting and like finishing some other projects that they started from the day before. And then after that, they would get lunch from the kitchen. And throughout all of this, it was a lot of guiding because even though they do this every day, they forget what they're doing. And so it was a lesson that I never really understood before I got there and worked with them every day. And the group would be over around 12:30, and so they would just go back to their classes after lunch and work on their projects until their parents would come and pick them up. So, and in between all of that, depending on what day it was, there would be sometimes like a dance class or a group song or something fun, a game in between all of the working classes because they would get really tired after one activity. CEER has 5 teachers and 43 students, and all of the different ages varied from 6 years old to 50 years old. So it was really great because it wasn't just a young elementary school. It was for all ages, anyone that wanted to attend and work with art projects every day. And Rita de la Cruz is the director of the school, and she has done a fantastic job of putting the school together. And this past week actually was the 28th anniversary.
Slowly move my feet along the hall.
The students worked with art projects such as paper mache around like a foam plastic ball, and then they would let it dry for maybe a day or 2 and then paint the whole thing white, and then they could decorate it however they wanted with their name, dots, numbers, decorations, whatever they wanted. And they also did a lot of finger painting because it was really great for the motor skills to focus with your one finger inside the lines because they have a hard time because their hands are always sort of moving a little bit and they're not very stable all the time. And another project they would work on was making bracelets with string, and this was very difficult for them because they couldn't hold the strings all the time because they couldn't focus on the string, and learning the pattern was really difficult and they couldn't exactly get it in the first try. It took repetition over and over, and I learned how to make the bracelet first from the teacher, and then I would walk around and help teach the pattern to everyone else. And this one was very challenging for them. They would learn a Spanish letter, and then they would get a worksheet with a big outline, and then they would maybe glue some lentils on there or glue some paper inside the lines so they're using their fingers as a concentration for their project.
¿Y cómo nos gusta que se relacionen las personas? Mira, Heidi, bien lindo. Coloquemos los nombres a las
Azul?
Gracias. Amigos por siempre. Amiganes.
And of course they had dance lessons, learning certain simple moves and just moving around and getting all this energy they have out because they would build up after activities and the teachers would be like, they need to go exercise. This project was very, very rewarding in the sense that I flew to Barranquilla and volunteered in the school to help them, but in the end, they helped me, which is funny, and I didn't really see this one coming because they are such special people, and I'm so honored to have had the chance to work with them and get to know them personally. And it wasn't just I'd come to the school and help them with projects. I was involved with their daily life every day, and their family life would come into school, and it didn't matter what it was, whether it was their mom told them great job, it would make their life better at school. And it was so beautiful to see because in other elementary schools, a lot of the children are they're not that excited to be at the school, and you you have to kind of motivate them to really get going on their work. And these students would walk through the door in the morning and have the biggest smile on their face and want to hug everybody and love. And it was so rewarding to see them learn and especially when they would understand something. Their face would just light up the room, and you couldn't help but just to smile and feel so happy for them. And of course, on the other side, this project was challenging at the same time because I had never worked with students who have Down syndrome before, and so I was not exactly sure how to go into this school and like how I should react with them and how I need to do my part as a student teacher helping with the other teachers. And it was hard because I had to get on a trusting level with the teachers, the director, and most important, the students. So, and that doesn't just happen overnight. You have to work for their trust, and they will want you to help them when they feel safe around you and they want your help. And not everybody wanted it. That's for sure. And one instance that I keep looking back on from the 2 weeks, this boy named Juan Carlos, he is 27 years old, and he, I thought, had one of the stronger cases of Down syndrome in the school because the symptoms that he would have almost every hour, maybe 2 hours, he would just start hitting himself really, really hard, and his face was all black and purple and bruised and swollen. But the problem was that when he would start to hit himself, there wasn't a lot you could do because you can put his hands on the table, but he was twice my size, and I wasn't the one to go over there and try and fix something because I didn't really know what to do. And he was very unwilling to work the whole 2 weeks, and he was mad all the time. He didn't like anybody, really. And the first time that I finally saw him smile was the Wednesday of the second week, and that was just one of the most rewarding smiles I've ever seen in my entire life because he goes through a very difficult family life at home, and of course he doesn't want to work at school because he doesn't have love in both places of his life. He needs to have a balanced happiness, and he doesn't. And so it was very challenging because he needed this help. And finally, when I saw a smile, it was just more rewarding than anything I think I've ever seen in my whole life. I feel so honored to have worked with these students. They really touched me more than I can even say. And I encourage everyone to at least go volunteer once in a school with children who have Down syndrome because it really changes who you are. You won't expect anything that you're in for, and it was better, and it was more than I asked for.